6.3. Kind of got a good challenging route for FSD piped in. Going over to Redmond, Washington here. Or actually, Issaquah. But it's all going to be city street driving. There's some twisty, windy roads. It's going to be good. FSD has a little bit of a pep in its step today. Ooh, I haven't been down this road since last week. Everybody's got the Christmas decorations up. Very nice, as Borat says. Driving through bridle trails, there's some light fog, really no effect, and I haven't washed the car for 3 weeks, so the cameras do have some schmoo on them, I'm sure. There's a guy with a nice high-end camera taking pictures of the woods. Looked to be a Comcast box, but who knows, maybe there's a bird in there. Tesla's up like $13 as of now, so it's December 2nd, Monday. I think it traced back down a little bit, but version 13 dropped, and the video started. We did not stop for this human. They're jaywalking. Yes, Tesla's up $13-14 today, so we're back over $350, so it's hovering on $354 as of when I left. Phenomenal. I think it's the version 13 bump, basically, because people can see the pieces starting to come together on FSD. Now that it can back up and do 3-point turns. It's not doing them always from the videos I was seeing on YouTube. Obviously, we don't have version 13 yet. But it's doing it pretty consistently, or doing them fairly well. But then, I think it was Omar had a video that tried to get it to do it and gave it the red hands, please take over. But there's been a few of those. But it's doing them, which means that Tesla's fast. So you had a lot of improvements. So we went from the vision or the attention monitoring was 12.3.6, and you saw some really big improvements going really fast out of in that area up until now. And now we have Cortex, so the big Texas data center, it's at 130 megawatts of consumption now that it's on, and they're going to build it out till it hits 500 megawatts, which is incredible. I think that's 100. They're going for 100,000 NVIDIA units, and So to give that into context, every megawatt is 130,000 kilowatt. Or sorry, if you're 130 megawatts, it's 130,000 kilowatts of power consumption per hour. And then I looked it up, Austin, Texas, that's 14 cents a kilowatt hour. I'm trying to do this with no notes from what I was reading and researching. So if you break that down to a week, that's roughly $3.5–4 million a week, because we don't exactly know how much it's going to cost to cool, weather dependent, hot. Good. Yield. And we're going to go. Perfect. So that's $3.5 million a week. Let's say $4 million a week in power consumption. So it's roughly $7 million a build. So if they're doing a build every 2 weeks, so sometimes we saw the FSD update was about 2 weeks in. So to quantify that, as they ramp up Cortex to 500 megawatts of power, so you could be seeing like 11 million a week if the math pans out in just power consumption. If you're paying 14 cents a kilowatt hour, and I don't know what the peak demand, or because Texas power rates, they have the net metering or the fluctuating power. So if they're running it at night, it's cheap. If they're running it during the day, you could be getting charged 20, 25 cents. Now it's not air conditioning season over there, but yes, FSD builds are going to be expensive. I don't know why I went down that rabbit hole, but think of it. This is a product in which every week the update for both the autopilot, because it improves autopilot, full self-driving, and the safety system all in one go. The manufacturer, just in electricity alone, is spending around $7 million. When you account for the life longer you're going to use this data center, let's say they spent, they're spending billions to build these data centers out, and they have a short shelf life, because as NVIDIA produces, they're going from H100 to now the Blackwell system, and you're going to buy the newer ones, and eventually you're going to go, well, it's time to upgrade the data center to the newest, latest, and greatest, because you get power, because it's better, and then those ones either get auctioned off or thrown on the market to go somewhere else. Yeah, this is an expensive ordeal. So over, let's say, the chips will be used for 3 to 5 years before they're completely obsolete, and then they upgrade to new ones. And then, not that they're obsolete, it's just it's not worth running them anymore, because the new ones are more power efficient and you're on the cutting edge, so you're going to invest in new ones. My God, I would say these FSD updates, to run the processing of an FSD update just now, you're probably at $20 to $30 million a week, maybe more. And that's just, I'm doing math in my head. If we sat down and said, okay, Tesla spent $5 billion on compute and building out their data center, that's $1 billion a year that the data center is good for. Now the structure itself, and the cooling system, the cooling system's probably good. Most of them work for about 15 years, and then you have to do a full overhaul. But anyway, very expensive. This is a very, very expensive project, and we're seeing the fruits of it now, because this is working. So it's not that they spent billions of dollars for a product that doesn't work very well. This is working really well. These are consistently now zero intervention drives. We're driving through fog, and it's doing just fine. It's not confused. It's not hesitating. The proof's in the pudding here. I would say that maybe in 6 to 9 months we're going to go in the supervised markets like Elon says. I know his timelines are off, but this one might be realistic, especially since we might have a favorable administration with the regulators like NHTSA to allow this and give a regulatory framework for the test markets. And you could potentially see a mass rollout of robotaxi and unsupervised FSD in probably 2 years. I would say they're going to stick to the southern states and hardware 4 first, but the world will be vastly different in 5 years. Very different. You're going to have robo-cabs, and as people say, well, this is going to destroy jobs. Yes, as one set of jobs is destroyed, another set of jobs is created. I wish I had the camera in 360 mode, because sometimes I feel like, especially on this downhill stretch, when FSD goes around this truck, it doesn't treat the truck like a sedan. And that sometimes worries me, in the sense that this one's was a smaller truck, but let's say you have a larger semi-truck. We don't give when there's this much room, the full berth in front, because the driver can't slow down quickly if something happens, and he can't see you in the front, because the dog nose on these bigger Peterbilts and things like that, they're long-nosed trucks for the engine compartment, so it's hard to see over it. But anyway, back to the so as people say, well, robo-taxis are going to come around, and for example, 150,000 garbage men, trash collectors, lose their jobs. Uber gone, if you're a contract Uber driver. Well, there's not going to be very many human Uber drivers left in, let's say, 8 years. But at the same time, let's say I want to go to the airport and fly to Italy, or do leisure travel. It costs me $100 each way to go to the airport. And let's say robo-taxi gets that down to $50. Well, I might be enticed to travel more often. Well, unless you can have a self-flying airplane, which, yes, we can have drones that do that, but I don't foresee regulators allowing 300 and some passengers to pile themselves into an aluminum tube and let a robot run it without at least the 1 or 2 pilots. Maybe in 15, 20 years, they'll let you have one pilot in command to take over. There has to be one. But for the foreseeable future, for example, we're going to have 2 pilots on an airplane. The hypothetical here is, if you reduce the cost to get to the airport operations get more efficient, and suddenly you're going to have a demand for greater air travel. So I'm going to hit the gas here a little bit and get us up to 45. So now, anyway, so suddenly, let's say you're Alaska Airlines, you have 10% more passenger demand, 15% more people are willing to fly because getting to the airport's more convenient. Well, now you're going to need 10% more aircraft.